Well, hey everybody, my name is Dave and I want to welcome you to another episode of YouTube Your Church, the show where I give you all the tips and tricks to help you YouTube your church and in the process leverage the second biggest search engine in the world to get your message to more people. If you're watching on Facebook Live, I want to welcome you especially, and I want to encourage you to leave a comment in the comment section. Why don't you tell me what your name is and where you're watching from? Something along those lines would be great. I'd love to get to know all of the people who are watching us on Facebook Live. And if you're watching later on my YouTube channel, then I want to encourage you to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you leave me a comment, because what I like to do is go back and answer every question that I get in the comment section, whether it's here on Facebook or on YouTube. So the question of today is A, where are you watching from? But B, the big question I have for you today is your church streaming services online this week? So many churches around the world have been closing their doors because of the coronavirus. And I want to know, is your church specifically, have you decided to stream your services online and close your doors because of the coronavirus? I've been talking to a lot of pastors in the past 24 hours, especially in Australia where I'm from. And many of them were making the decision to close their doors this Sunday and start streaming their services. And I know a lot of churches in the US are doing exactly the same thing. So why don't you tell me, where are you watching from, and is your church streaming services online? Well, we have a big show. As I always say, this is the fastest 30 minutes online because we have a jam-packed show filled with tips and tricks and practical information to help you YouTube your church. Well, today's show is big, and as I said, here are some of the topics that we're going to be going through today. What I had planned to do is talk about thumbnails specifically and to give you the do's and don'ts of thumbnails, but because of everything that's going on in the world and seeing so many churches that are closing their doors, I decided to change up the format of today's show and just do a whole segment on how you can live stream your services this weekend. And this is the great thing about leveraging YouTube. It is completely free. It doesn't require a huge budget. It just requires a little bit of technology, a little bit of some cameras and things like that, and you can really do this for free. All of the technology is completely free. You don't need to shell out big money for studios or for online platforms or anything along those lines. That's why I love leveraging YouTube, and that's what we're going to be talking about today specifically, how to live stream your services. After I get through all of that information, I'm going to take your questions. I love answering your questions, whether you're watching on Facebook or on my YouTube channel. I always go back and I always make sure to answer every question that comes through. So make sure you leave me some comments in the comment section. That would be fantastic. Then after that, I'm going to tell you the channel I watched this week that specifically caught my attention. And after that, the video of the week, the specific video that caught my attention and informed me or entertained me on YouTube. So once again, if you are just joining us, my name is Dave and you are watching the YouTube Your Church live show here on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so I want to get straight into today's topic and give you a step-by-step guide on how you can live stream your services live here on YouTube. Now, the reason I wanted to do this is because I've noticed that there are so many churches that have been posting to social media in the past little while about how they're planning to close their doors and start streaming their services this week and even for the next couple of weeks. Some churches are even saying that they're doing that indefinitely. Here are just some of the big churches in the US that have decided to close their doors, everything from Passion City to Zoe Church, Lakewood, and even my church there, North Point, has decided for the next 3 weeks we're going to be producing only online services, and we're actually closing our doors. So this is one of those times when church online is really set up to shine. This is where we want to get the most out of this technology. You know, I always say that the Apostle Paul used the technology of his day to connect people with God and to grow the church. Now, the technology of his day was letter writing, and really we're just called to do the same thing, to use the technology of our day to help grow the church and to help connect people with God. And the technology of our day is YouTube. So hashtag it's time to shine church online. Hashtag it's time to shine church online. Make sure you start using that. If your church is streaming, I would love you to use that hashtag time to shine church online. So I really want to spend the bulk of today's show teaching you specifically how you can step by step stream your services online for free. That's the great thing. This doesn't cost any money. So I want to get stuck straight into that. Make sure you're taking notes. And I know I'm going to hit you with a fire hose of information right now. So it's going to feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant. So I want to encourage you, take down any questions, put them into the comments section, whether it's here on Facebook or on YouTube. And I promise you, I will answer all of your questions. So let's get stuck straight into the content of how to stream online. Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to go to YouTube Studio on your YouTube channel. That's that button right there with the arrow right next to the customize your channel. Once you hit that button, you're going to see another screen pop up, and on that screen, it's going to specifically give you some options to go into the settings. Once you're in the settings section, you want to go to channel, and from channel, you want to hit that advanced channel settings button. From there, you'll see this window pop up that has multiple options of how you can optimize your channel, but specifically what you want to do is make sure that the live streaming button is enabled. You can see that on mine here, it is enabled, but for some people, it might not be enabled yet. So what you need to do is you need to click the enable button, and YouTube will probably ask you to fill out some information. You need to meet some certain requirements. And then once you've filled all that information out, they will process your application. And it typically takes about 24 to 48 hours to get your live streaming application through and authorized. So that's something you should be doing today. If you want to start streaming on Sunday, make sure you complete that today so that you can be ensured that you're ready to live stream come Sunday. So that's the first step. Go into that Creator Studio, that YouTube Studio, hit the settings, hit the channel, then go to advanced settings and make sure your YouTube channel is enabled to live stream. After that, once that's all taken care of and you get through all that process, the next thing you want to do is you just want to click on that little camera icon with the plus symbol in it. This is where you would typically go to upload a video. So you want to click on that button first, and you'll see a drop-down menu comes up, gives you three options. Normally you might just upload a video, but this time you obviously want to go live. So click that go live. It opens up another window where you're able to create a title for your video, decide whether it's public or private. Obviously you want public. You'd leave your description in there as well. A little bit further down, you'll see a spot where you can upload a custom thumbnail. This is really key and important and something that often gets overlooked. Make sure you upload a custom thumbnail. Now, you've got three options there. One to go to webcam. That's if you wanted to use the webcam on your computer. I don't suggest you do that. So go across to the stream setting tab. And from there, you can start to fill out some information to optimize the live stream that you're about to do. You'll see there's a whole bunch of information there about the latency of your internet connection and all those sorts of things. So have a look through those, make sure that everything lines up with what you want to do. And once you've got to that point, you are almost ready to start live streaming your services. You can plug a camera in, you can plug even an iPhone in, something along those lines will get great video, or you can plug in a DSLR or any sort of camera really into your computer as long as it's got a USB connection. And it's as simple as that. You're almost ready to start live streaming, but this is where you need to take a stop for a second and download some software to help you live stream. Now, here's the great thing. There are so many different options you can use to live stream, to get software to live stream your services. One of the ones that I always use on this show is called OBS. It is completely free. I'll leave some links to that in the description of this video and in the comment section on YouTube. Another great one is Switcher Studio. Now, Switcher Studio is an awesome program, awesome software that I highly recommend because it allows you to run multiple cameras. You can have iPads, iPhones, or DSLRs all capturing into the one live stream studio, and you can switch between those cameras right there in the software program itself. So once you've downloaded a software like OBS or Switcher Studio, you're ready to live stream. Now, I'm going to talk specifically about OBS because that just happens to be the one that I always use, but I highly recommend Switcher Studio as well. But for this application, this step-by-step, I just wanted to give you something that was easy and completely free, and that's OBS. So I'm going to be talking specifically about OBS. So you need to go to download the OBS software, set it up on your computer, and then you're just about ready to go live. Once you've got OBS set up, what you'll do is you'll open it up and you'll see a studio screen a lot like this one. And you want to click on the right hand side. You see the settings button right there. You want to click on that, and that will take you to the settings page where you can start figuring out things like audio, output of your video content, stuff like that. But specifically, you want to focus on the left-hand side in the stream column. In that stream column, you'll get a stream key, which you need to copy so that you can paste it into the YouTube platform, and that will allow OBS to connect with your YouTube channel. So once you've got that key, you go back to YouTube. You'll see the little spot there on the streaming platform where you can copy and, well, you actually just want to paste that live stream key right into that spot. And then as soon as that happens, you go back to OBS and you can hit that start streaming button. Once you start streaming on OBS, it doesn't actually live stream to YouTube yet. It just sets up a preview so that you can check things like your lighting, your video composition. You can check the audio, make sure that everything is going really smoothly from an audio point of view as well, because that's really important. And once that is all optimized and you're happy with everything, then you want to go back to YouTube, and then you'll go to the top right hand side where you'll see the Go Live button. Once you've hit that Go Live button, that is when you are broadcasting live. You'll see that that changes color, and all of a sudden you are live streaming to the world on the World Wide Web thanks to YouTube and some sort of live streaming software like OBS or Switcher Studio. It's really that simple. I know that I went through that really quick, but if you've got any questions, make sure you ask them in the comment section down below or on Facebook Live, and I will answer your questions in just a few minutes. But it really is that simple. Any church can do it for completely for free. So this is a great option for you if you're thinking about closing your doors because of the coronavirus or anything along those lines from a public health concern. You can set up and start streaming to YouTube instantly, as simple as that step-by-step guide. If you want to go back and rewatch this, feel free to do that. Watch all the steps through once again, and you will get to be able to live stream your services in pretty much only a couple of minutes. It should only take about 10 minutes to get started. But if you've got any questions, if you're having any issues, please make sure you come back here. Make sure you either leave a comment on Facebook or leave a comment on YouTube, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Now, you might be wondering, why would you live stream to YouTube instead of live streaming to Facebook? I think both of them are great options, and if you're able to, I would encourage you to do both. I wouldn't segment my audience to just one, but if you had to choose between one or the other, then the reason I recommend YouTube is specifically because it gives you a broader audience. Not only do you have a broader audience because YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world, but it also allows you to keep the video live on your platform, live on your channel, and you can continue to drive traffic to that service forever and a day, for as long as there is an internet. And because it's keyword optimized, you've just got the opportunity to reach more people in a shorter period of time. Again, I know I just made you drink from a fire hydrant. I apologize for that, but that was, I only have half an hour to get through this show, and that's a lot of information I needed to get through. But go back, rewatch, go through step by step, make sure that you understand every part of what I just went through. And if anything doesn't make sense or you've got questions, come back, leave me a question, leave me a comment in either the comment section here on Facebook or on YouTube, and I will happily answer any questions that you have. Well, if you are just joining us, you are watching the YouTube Your Church show. My name is Dave, I'm your host, and we have just talked through how you can live stream your services this weekend on YouTube. Now is the time of the show where I like to answer any questions that you might have, either about content that I've just talked about or about anything really to do with YouTube. So if you've got any questions, make sure you leave them in the comment section on Facebook Live or leave them in the comment section on my YouTube channel, and I will answer every question that you have. We're starting to get a couple of questions coming in already. Jonathan Anderson, thoughts for a church whose internet is too slow to stream live from their church facility. Should we pre-record and post later, simulating live, or what? Jonathan, great question. Obviously, you need a great internet feed in order to be able to stream live. You don't want lagging audio or glitchy video or anything like that to interrupt people from connecting with what's happening in the service. So yes, if that was the case, I would suggest potentially pre-recording the service, pre-recording the worship and the message, and then posting those things to YouTube at on Sunday at the normal service time, and then just tracking along with that. You can even pre-schedule some YouTube live stuff as well if you wanted to do it that way. Or see what you can do to improve your internet at the church that you are at. I hope that answers the question, Jonathan. Thank you so much for asking. Steve Matthews Lee says OBS. Yes, it's called OBS. I will leave a link in the YouTube description and in the Facebook comment section as soon as the show is over so you can get onto OBS. It's completely free software. That's the great thing about it. I'll also leave links to Switcher Studio as well. That is a more higher end version, but it allows you to integrate more cameras, and it really does a fantastic job of streaming your services. What was the free streaming option? That was OBS. Is OBS one button studio? Yes, Rachel English Curry, it is one button. That screen that I showed you earlier is literally what it looks like. It is just, you can have all of your lower thirds, all your graphics all preloaded, and then you just click one button and they will come up. This is literally the format that I use for this show every single week. So you can see here that little thing that I've got up there, that's all through OBS. The lower thirds that keep shooting across the bottom of the screen, like that one, follow me on Instagram at AussieDave. Things like that, I've set them up in advance on OBS, and now I just click one button and they all just continue to pop up. In fact, the way I do it on OBS is I lay out the whole show. So if you know what songs the band is singing, you can put lyrics up on the screen. Then you can do lower thirds to introduce the teaching pastor or your service host or whoever it is that might be coming up. You can create that all in advance and stream it all live on OBS and just use one button. Yes, Steve Matthews has asked for a link to OBS. Daniel Fuentes has just put it in. Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate you doing that, mate. That is fantastic. Daniel then says, do you recommend something like Elgato to capture screen that helps it go plug and play? You can use a third party like that to do that sort of thing, but when it comes to streaming services, I try to keep it as simple as possible. This is as technical as I get, leveraging this OBS thing. The only technicality, therefore, that I have that might get in the way is when I try to point to a super and I actually got it right. I do that, that sort of thing, or I point to my Twitter account right there. I like to keep it simple as that things are free flowing, that things are moving, and I don't want to have any extra plugins that might get in the way of streaming the services. Christy Jacobs Blundy says, what licensing do you suggest we upgrade to in order to stream the entire worship service online? My understanding is our current CVLI covers only the in-church. Yeah, there's a lot of gray area around copyright of music when it comes to live streaming. A lot of churches you'll see will only do the message portion unless they're doing their own songs, which not every church has the luxury of having. So I would suggest just call up your CCLI representative, make sure you've got everything in hand there, and that you actually have the copyright licenses to stream the videos. Otherwise, if you're doing it to Facebook, there's a chance that you'll get flagged and you might have to take the video down after 24 hours, which is what a lot of large churches do. They stream their services online, but then after 24 to 48 hours, they take that service down so that they don't get flagged. It's a similar sort of thing on YouTube. YouTube will put up a copyright claim. It's not a copyright strike. They just put up a copyright claim to make sure that you can't monetize that video on your channel. But from my understanding, a lot of churches don't monetize their YouTube channels anyway, so that's not really a big deal. But great question, Christy. Thank you so much for asking that. And I would just continue to check out your CCLI representative. Ben Edmonds, is a phone really good is a phone really a good option? DSLR camera better, question mark. Is there a Wi-Fi capable device that streams well? Ben, great question. I always would encourage you, whether you're using your iPhone or a DSLR, to plug it into a computer anyway. I just think that that's the smartest thing to do. Obviously, a DSLR is going to give you a lot better footage. It's going to be a lot wider, and it's going to have a shallower depth of field than an iPhone would. But the iPhone 11 has an incredible back-facing camera, and it's got a screen already built in so that you can monitor the way that the video is captured. So that might be a really good option for those churches that don't have the equipment like a DSLR. So yes, a DSLR is better, but you can stream it from an iPhone, and I think an iPhone is better than nothing, right? Hope that answers the question. Addison, what's your feel on going straight from a phone with a USB audio interface? Addison, great question. If that's all you've got, Addison, at your church is a phone, a smartphone with a USB audio interface, then I would say 100% do that. That's better than nothing. Just make sure you have it on some sort of tripod, even just a desktop tripod that is propped up somewhere so that it captures the entire stage. I think that is good enough. And that is a great option if that's all that you have. I think you've hit it really well. You've asked the right question because the audio is so important. I would always recommend that you use an external microphone for your phone if that's what you've got to use. Because on YouTube, one of the things I've realized is people will put up with bad video, but they don't necessarily put up with bad audio. So you can spend $30 on a good external Rode mic that plugs straight into the lightning connection of your iPhone, for example, and that's going to give you a lot better audio. So always do that. Probably got time for one more question before I move on. Brittany Lurch, if you use the Premiere feature on YouTube and Facebook, you can upload ahead of time, but it still gives you that option of interact live with people. Yeah, Brittany, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. You can pre-schedule some of this stuff on YouTube and pre-record it, but schedule it to go live so that you can track along. And when it comes to streaming live, I would be encouraging you to don't market it as your church is broadcasting live. Market it from the point of view of participate with us as a church online rather than broadcasting, which seems to create some distance between the person presenting and the audience. I would say participate in our church online, because then that way you're encouraging people to engage through comments and things like that. That's where I think this medium has its best capacity to reach people and interact with them on a greater level. I hope that answers all of the questions that you have. Keep your questions coming. I promise you, I always go back into Facebook and YouTube to answer any questions that come in later from people who are watching this on demand at a later time. So keep asking your questions, and I will keep coming back to make sure that you all get answered. Thank you so much for your questions today. That was a great segment. Okay, moving on, because we're running out of time really quick, I want to give you my channel of the week. This is the spot in the show where I just give you a channel that I think you should watch for whatever reason. It doesn't have to be a church or a Christian channel. In fact, today's isn't. Today's channel of the week is New Rock Stars. This is one of my favorite channels of all time. I like it for a bunch of different reasons. First of all, the host of the show is a guy named Eric Voss, and he's just awesome on camera. I love the way that he interacts with people and presents the content. And then the whole show is basically, the whole channel is about breaking down various movies, and they just happen to be the comic book movies that I love so much. So that's a channel that I would highly recommend. But again, it might not be, while it's not Christian, I think there's things that we can learn from people who are doing YouTube really, really well, and we can pick up some stuff from them about the length of their videos, the way that they present their videos, the editing process that they go through, the way they do jump cuts, things like that, that can really help us in the capital C church to YouTube our church, for one, and then two, optimize our videos so that they get more viewing time. So that's something that I always try to look out for whenever I present you with a channel of the week. Now it's time for the video of the week, and today's video of the week really caught my attention because it was A, entertaining, but B, it was just so relevant. It was by Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, a show that I just happen to love. And this episode was specifically about the coronavirus. And the reason why I liked it was, there was a couple of reasons actually. First of all, it was very informative and very funny. Now, I will warn you, there was some cursing, but it was just a very informative show about the coronavirus and how we're potentially not blowing it out of proportion, but getting into a little bit of a panic. I know exactly, I know somewhat of what's going on in the world with coronavirus because I just came back from a trip overseas to see my daughter in Thailand, and we were stressed and worried about getting back into the US because we were coming from a foreign country back into the US. We're not US citizens, we're legal residents here, but we were worried about that. And so I watched this show the day after I got back, and it actually informed me a lot about the stuff that's actually going on with the coronavirus from a medical and scientific point of view. So I would highly encourage you to watch that episode of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Well, that's it. We're just about out of time. Before I go, I want to remind you of two really quick things. First of all, this coming Monday, there is the Future Bible 316 online summit. It is a great online summit where you will learn how innovative people are leveraging scripture online to engage with people and to help people engage with the scriptures. This is a totally free conference. You can find out more by going to 316.future.bible, 316.future.bible. Please go and check that out. I'll leave a link in the comments below so that you can check that out. Completely free, starts on Monday. Some great speakers in there, so make sure you check that out. Next week, I'm going to be talking about thumbnail do's and don'ts. This is where I'm catching up on what I was going to do this week, but switched it out to help you live stream your services this coming Sunday. So next week, I'll be talking about thumbnail do's and don'ts when it comes to YouTube. And as always, if you've got any questions, I want to encourage you, keep asking them in the comment section on Facebook or in the comment section on my YouTube channel. And if you've got any questions that are really you need a quick answer for, then I want to encourage you to text me on 201-267-2156. That's right, I'm giving you my phone number so that you can text me your questions about YouTube, about live streaming, about OBS, about Switcher Studio, about any of the content that I've talked about today, or any content in general, or if you just need somebody to pray with you, I'd be more than happy to do that as well. You can text me on 201-267-2156, 201-267-2156. I would love to connect with you if I can. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's episode of YouTube Your Church. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Share this video on social media if it was helpful in any way. And make sure you leave me a comment, because every comment helps this content get out to more people, and we can start reaching more people with this awesome message that we have via YouTube. Well, once again, thank you for joining us. That was this week's episode of YouTube Your Church.